Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our first live Zoom in 2025. I have with me Riminson Tenor, our Chief Operating Officer, coming to us live from Haiti. Welcome, Riminson.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
We want to start our update today by talking a little bit around the funding cuts with USAID. So, as you all are aware, over the last few weeks, USAID has had their funding cut significantly. Unfortunately, this has had a really significant impact on malnutrition and treating children around the world. So we've seen thousands of staff laid off. Many programs have to close, and children who are in a desperate situation don't have time to wait. So it's been a very hard and kind of scary time in our industry. One of the things, though, that I can say has been encouraging for us is that MFK has been able to continue our work. We're continuing to make our ready-to-use therapeutic treatments. We're continuing to distribute them throughout Haiti to the clinics that need them most. We're working with the schools, and we are continuing to train farmers, and our agriculture programs are going strong. This is all really made possible for a few reasons. One, we have an amazing base in the US that has supported our work in Haiti, and we haven't had to rely on USAID funding as much. It's also because of our localized model. So, being in Haiti and having boots on the ground, we put a lot of time and energy into thinking about resiliency and building capacity so that when unexpected events pop up, they don't impact us and they don't stop what we do. Um, so in this really challenging period, we have been able to continue our life-saving work, and it's really been incredible. And it's also I can never thank our team on the ground enough for the energy and dedication, commitment to our mission. Remington, what you guys do is really incredible, and it allows MFK to really stand apart and just continue to help Haiti's most vulnerable during this really difficult period. Um, we are following the situation closely, though. We realize that if these funding cuts continue for a longer period of time, that there could be other impacts that we feel. So two of our biggest partners, the World Food Program and WFP, rely very heavy on US funding. And so we're monitoring the situation with them closely and to just make sure that if things begin to change, we are aware of that. But I think what we've really seen during this period is another reason why localization is so important, why this model of boots on the ground, locally led solutions is really the way that development should be done. It produces a resiliency like nothing else. The integration in communities allows us to continue to navigate very difficult situations. And the impact of being able to do that is immeasurable. Having uninterrupted treatment when you're talking about starving children and mothers who need that nutrition immediately. Remington, maybe you can share. It'd be really helpful to hear from you a little bit what you're seeing for localization and just the impact that it's had in these last few months, even.
Over the years, we've seen the many ways localization and the local team can have a significant impact on what we do. You know, you just mentioned that we have a team on the ground that is working really hard to make sure that we can achieve our goal and continue to exist and to survive through all of the different situations that we are facing in Haiti currently. So one of the things that we have to consider is when leadership is truly local, we can make decisions that align with the realities on the ground. There's been so many things happening in Haiti recently, coming from the issue with customs, political instabilities, and gang violence, it really requires local solutions. And by local solutions, I mean the team on the ground working with different partners and communities to make sure that we can find out the way that we can solve problems. And also, one of the other thing, I think the impact or the result of localization is really how MFK have been investing in local talent for the last couple of years to make sure that we could actually build capacity, transfer knowledge to the team so that they are prepared and ready to take on new responsibilities, especially in critical times, so they could operate independently. So that is very crucial as part of the localization of what MFK has been doing. Um, you were working for MFK for a while before you moved back to the US, Chris. You know that in recent years, MFK's technical support and staff that were supporting the local team were expanded. I would say 40% of that of the admin team at the time were expat. And I think MFK really worked hard to make sure that we could transfer the knowledge, build the capacity to make sure that we can have a team that is 100% Haitian right now, running the factory, also running the ag programs as well as the nutrition programs that we have. And as a result of that, it's really allowed us to grow professionally and making sure that our team can take on new responsibility and also get promoted into key management position in Haiti. Um, I think one of the things that we also need to think about it is how MFK is not only investing in the staff, but or doing business in Haiti or producing IUTF. One of the things that we do is really working on shaping the culture and also the behavior in Haiti. And by building or shaping the culture and behavior in Haiti, what I mean by that is really we are working with farmers and communities to make sure that people realize and understand there's better ways that they can do things. So in the ag program, for instance, when we started, we know that we needed to do those training on good agricultural practices in terms of soil preparation, the harvest and post-harvest management in order to make sure that the peanut growers that they understood that peanut can be a business and they can also improve the quality and the yield of the peanut. What we did not do and that we started doing and that we're seeing that there's a huge impact on that is really making sure that we can also teach people, to be socially and environmentally responsible. And that's part of the AG program is really to train people on waste and trash management, as well as on, being careful about using toxic chemicals that can be part of the fertilizers that they use. And one good example is one of the communities that we are working on right now in Chambela, that is in Capoti, that's right at the border to the Dominican Republic, where in the past, they relied heavily on fertilizers coming from the DR that are heavily contaminated with chemicals that can be very toxic to the environment, but also to people consumption, as well as using plastics and styrofoams coming from the DR. And our agronomists, they put this as part of the farmers training. They included non-toxic product or fertilizers that can be used and be locally made. That's bio organic, that they use as fertilizers, and also teaching them that the impact of the plastics and styrofoam on the environment. I'm proud to say that right now, if you go to Shambhala, it's a small community, it's very remote. You would not see people using chemicals. And in December and early January, we took the World Food Program there to interview some of the farmers. They were very pleased and amazed to see that not only the community is very clean, but people would not even bring a sachet of water there because they now understand the impact of having chemicals and plastics on the environment. Um, Maybe in terms of localization, also we I think we understood and we realized this very early that we needed to be flexible and also be proactive and also be adaptive to the different changes happening in Haiti. And because of that, I think this really make us stand out maybe from other organizations. While people are leaving, while people feel that everything is not working, they lose hope. MFK continue to operate. It's very challenging, but because we are being flexible and proactive, we're able to think about what could happen. And you just mentioned about how the cut from the USA does not impact us because we don't necessarily rely directly from aid or fund from the USA. But as part of being flexible, we shift a long time ago, I'd say since 2023, to from using diesel to now using solar powered energy to make sure that our production, our factory can be run on solar energy. And we know that for a very long time it was very difficult to even find diesel. The same thing goes for sourcing raw materials with the issues of custom, and we really work hard to make sure that we plan ahead, that we buy the critical raw materials on time, and making sure also that we work with other partners that we can improve our storage facilities to make sure that we can do distribution. And because of the way that we manage that, we were also able to help other partners not only to store critical medical supplies at MFK, but also being able to go to some of the key areas that are impacted by maybe gang violence or lack of infrastructure to make sure that we can also do distribution on behalf of UNICEF and the World and the Ministry of Health. So in a nutshell, I'd say that as part of the localization, we really work hard to make sure that we promote independence. Independence for our workers, independence for our farmers and other communities that we're working on.
So here you give those examples. There's a few things that pop into my mind. One, we change is always hard, and change. I, I think one of the things that we're really seeing is as our partners are realizing that we're not just committed to our mission, we're committed to being flexible and innovative, and in doing so that we are able to produce change, right? When you talk about whether it be influences on farmer practices or
Mhm.
just other aspects of your work in the communities. And what I'm seeing is that when you have a localized team, it's a different sort of relationship. What I'm hearing from you is that team is in Cap Haitian. They're in these communities. They're from these communities. And so when they're having these conversations about maybe the impact of overusing styrofoam or managing fertilizers or things that can have high toxicity, it's people are receiving that in a different way because of this localized approach, because these are people in their communities that are invested and have built rapport over the years. Uh,
Definitely.
and I think I was in Haiti with you just a few weeks ago, and we had the opportunity to meet with many individuals from the Haitian government, as well as a pretty large coalition of different international organizations. And they came to our factory. They wanted to have conversations about not just the product that we're making, but it was very clear they were looking for opportunities on how can they expand their work, how can they partner with MFK, because we've proven ourselves, right? We've proven ourselves in these different areas, and the impact speaks for itself. Could you share with us a little bit about some of the conversations, the recent visits that we've had, and what your key takeaways from them are?
Yeah, thank you, Chris. Again, I think being in Haiti for over 20 years, and especially in Cap Haitian, where we build relationship and rapport with the communities, I think the words are going out to say that while things are changing, and I think while everybody can see the worst, MFK continue to prove people that there's hope. And I think this is really inspiring other partners to be curious about, how we've been able to do that. And during those visits, really, they really provide us valuable opportunities to strengthen our relationships and also explore ways that we can expand our impact on those communities. So we have visits from the World Food Program, UNICEF, the Haitian government representative, especially at the Ministry of Agriculture. We do have visits from different other agencies from the Haitian government. And they really wanted to understand and how we've been able to accomplish what we do. So, and while we taking that opportunity to showcase what we do, to showcase MFK's work, and whether it's on farmers training and our ability to continuously producing IUTF that meets international standards. So it's really highlight or maybe emphasize on the impact of our localized approach. So it's very important for us because I think as a result of those visits, we are entering the second year of our partnership with the World Food Program, where we will continue the farmers training for those communities, for the farmers. But because of what we do, we're now even increasing the numbers of communities that will be doing the training. So remember, in previous years that we were only serving 3 communities. Last year, in partnership with the World Food Program, we expand the training to 10 communities. And this year, we're going to expand that to 16 communities. And we're going from 610 farmers, 30 farmers a year to 600 and now 960 farmers that will be trained. And we are now partnering with the Ministry of Agriculture in the Northeast to make sure that we can also do training for the agronomists in aflatoxin, as well as providing materials that they can process those peanuts. It's really those visits, they are very important for us because it's really allow MFK to continue to be a good partner for the other partners operating in Haiti.
I think back about the article that UNICEF Haiti recently did about our partnership. And if there's anyone
Mhm.
on this call who hasn't had a chance to read that article yet, I would really encourage you to do so. It only takes a few minutes, and Melissa can actually drop it in the chat during this call. But it's a great article that really it's this UNICEF's perspective about what the partnership with MFK, having a partner based in Haiti on the ground, is helping them do, the impact that it's making,
Mhm.
right? And this
Yeah,
is just one of many partners that we're working with and leveraging our expertise and our time on the ground to really improve that impact. Um, and like you said, what we're realizing is that there's additional opportunities, right, to strengthen the food systems, to help more malnourished children, help more malnourished mothers. Um, Really, during this time of such instability and chaos, it's when people need us the most, and it's when MFK is really stepping up and looking for ways to strengthen these partnerships to help improve the outcomes for everyone.
definitely.
Um, I you know, on the heels of all this, I want to transition to something that is also a recent development that we are following very closely. We want to make everyone aware of as well. And that's that it's been recently announced that the U.S. intends to end the temporary protected status for a TPS for many Haitians living in the U.S. And just brief background on that, after the 2010 earthquake, Haiti was designated as a country that can be a recipient of TPS. And there's currently about 1.1 million Haitians living in the States. A little over 500,000 of them are benefiting from the PPS status. So they're integrated into communities all throughout the U.S. They're working, they're providing vital services, and this right now, this looks like the TPS designation for Haiti has been is a is set to end in August of this year. There's a few reasons why this is very concerning for us and why we feel like it was appropriate to bring it up today. Um, One is that Haiti had between 20 and 30% of Haiti's GDP actually comes from Haitians living abroad that are just being sent back to Haiti. So you can imagine when you're taking almost 50% of the Haitians living in the States and sending them back, that's a huge impact on the mothers, the children, the families that are depending on these funds to come to them for their survival. Um, Two, this 15 years from 2010 to now is a long time. Um, there's to reintegrate into communities, to just be able to thrive is going to be very difficult, especially for children that may have been very young when they went to the States and now are older. The impact of this, I think it's very fair to say the impact of this, should it happen, would be incalculable. We're currently preparing some additional information right now that we will be sending out to everyone on this call, that everyone that follows our work, because we would really encourage you to reach out to your representatives um, on this issue. And Remington, maybe just from your side of things, you could share with us some of your concerns about TPS and what the impact might be on an already stretched and challenging environment.
TPS, I remember when the earthquake happened in 2010, I was actually living in the US. I was studying when that happened. So 15 years later, we have the situation, unfortunately, is worse than what it was 15 years ago. Um, and, for the last couple of years, what we've seen is that there are already more than 1 million people who have been displaced throughout Haiti due to gang violence. So now we have 500,000 or 500,000 of people who are now also facing maybe potential risk of being deported to a country where, as you mentioned, they have no connections anymore. So imagine if someone leave Haiti. I think some of the people who had the TPS, they've lived in the US longer than 15 years. So really they have no connections to Haiti. And it will be a cultural shock for these people, and a cultural shock in all of the unfortunate sense, if I can put it. We have the food system that is unfortunately is not working. The agriculture sector in Haiti have been heavily impacted by all of the previous problem, plus now gang violence divide the country. So people living in the south, it's impossible. It's nearly impossible for them to transport their goods to Port-au-Prince. And the same thing for the Artibonite and the south, especially Jeremy, are the two regions that provide a lot of food, and then the north also provide a lot of food to Port-au-Prince. And as you know, Port-au-Prince is now controlled by gang violence, and Last year, one of the government officials stated that 80% of the capital were controlled by gangs. But now I think things are even more difficult. Um, you also have the food security that is a big challenge. There's recent research stated that there's half of the population are suffering from food insecurity. We're talking about 6 million people who are suffering from food insecurity, and half of that 6 million are in extreme poverty. And if nothing is done, so they could die. Now you have the risk of deporting everybody or most of these people who were relying on supplying, money transfer and to Haiti. Now they you don't have this. Let's not also forget about the healthcare system and education that is heavily impacted by everything's happening. Last month the General Hospital was burned to the ground. A lot of schools are now transferred into shelters for people who have been displaced due to gang violence. So, in I want to believe that some of these people living in the US right now, they might have health conditions that they would need to see doctor. And you come to a country where the healthcare system is already fragile. So this would continue to increase on the issues that we have. And so I think it will be very catastrophic to have people coming to return to Haiti at that time. And while we are in captation, I think we all know that the airports are closed. The main airport, the international airport, Aéroport Saint Louverture, is closed since November because of gang violence. So Cap Haitian is the only city in Haiti that has an international airport that is functioning. But it's a small airport, so you can't, it wasn't built and it's not equipped to receiving a lot of people. So that would also put a lot of strength and pressure on that city to be able to receive everybody coming down to Cap Haitian. So I think it's important for us to continue to talk about those issues because while they are very challenging, I think as an organization, we will continue to work on our approach for localization because, as I mentioned, there's no food available, and even if you were to send everybody down, now a lot of funding have been cut off. So there's no funding available. Even on the aid that you will receive, you don't have them. So it's really not a time to add more into an economy that is already fragile and a country that has so many other issues to face right now.
Yeah, I think I know you and I feel very passionately that this is not the moment to end TPS for Haitians. That it should be extended. That the current crisis in Haiti would only be it would be unfortunately like putting fuel on the flames per se and we don't want that. And I think there are ways that I think we can extend the TPS status and a more measured approach can be taken. So once again, please, if for those of you on this call, be looking for communications from us in the very near future. We will be sending out kind of a more detailed perspective, our perspective of this, why it's important, what the impact would be, and how you can help advocate with your representatives. So we do believe this is something that TPS should be extended during this critical time. Um, with that being said, I think this is a great place in our conversation to pause and see if there's any Q&A before we wrap up our call. Melissa?
Somebody has asked, what is the status of our Medica Mamba manufacturing and distribution?
We have, thankfully, we have not been impacted. So we have been able to continue to produce product. We've been continuing able to distribute product. In fact, we're currently working on a few projects to expand the capacity at our facility, the storage capacity. because what we've seen is with all of with everything happening throughout the country, the need for distribution is increasing. So UNICEF, of course, is looking for new funding revenues, new funding streams. They're also sending more and more of their essential humanitarian goods for MFK to distribute on their behalf. So we're in the process of expanding our distribution fleet so that we can make more distributions and even continue to reach more remote locations. And we are expanding our warehousing so we can be able to warehouse and distribute more products. But thankfully, through our resiliency planning, we remain unaffected and able to continue producing and distributing.
Thank you, Chris. We've got another question asking, how has gang violence impacted your ability to support those in the southern areas of Haiti? Remington, do you want to expand on that?
Yes, yeah, gang violence is I think it's the major issue that we're facing. I think from when we started, I think last year we talked a lot about this, that we really advocate on really the opportunity to open a humanitarian corridor that can facilitate distribution to the most critical areas. So we have what we call a logistic cluster that has a lot of other humanitarian organization and people, organization that are working actually on providing aid, especially in nutrition. What we do is really working with those partners to make sure that whenever it's possible, that we can send product to the south, but it's very difficult. So as part of the logistic cluster, so they do have a moment where they have a barge leaving Port-au-Prince, and they all encourage partners, if possible, if they have product, to ship them to with the barge that goes to Miragwan, and then from Miragwan they can do distribution. So we've had several maybe occasions or instances that we were able to ship product via the barge to the south. But once again, it's very difficult. And it's right now, we are not in a position where we can even talk to, the gang. So we cannot do this. It's not something that we can do. So it's really working with the cluster and making sure that whenever possible that we do distribution. But yes, it is affecting the ability for the South to receive the product, but we're doing our best.
Thank you both. Looks like that's it for our questions today. Before we wrap up, I do want to share a couple things with everybody. First of all, is if you have any additional questions, to send them our way at the email address that is going into the chat now. And then secondly, if you are not already following us on social media, we are on all of the major platforms. You can just search Medgen Food for Kids. I would encourage you to give us a follow, and you can get more regular updates there as well. And Chris, do you want to go ahead and wrap us up?
Thank you for everyone who's joined our call, our board members, committee members, loyal supporters, donors, partners. We really appreciate you just continuing to champion the cause of MFK and the vital work we do in Haiti, reaching some of the world's most vulnerable. So we appreciate your continued support, and please feel free, as Melissa said, to reach out to Remsen or myself at any point if you have more questions. We thank you again for joining the call, and have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye.